Welcome to the taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of our city and some of the people that are really important in making that history and continue to make history today. This is our history tape number 436, and we are continuing to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And by all rights, probably the young man that we have on the dais today should have been the first one to interview. However, we interviewed him last year, but he's bringing us an update on Hispanic Heritage Month and some of the things that are important to us in Grand Prairie, Texas. And we're so pleased to welcome him again, Dr. David Barbosa, to the set. Welcome back.
Hello, Ruthie. It's as always a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to get in touch with your office, and you always say yes, and that is so nice. And then when I ask you questions and ask you to help me do an interview, you always lead it on and tell me so many good things without just saying yes, no, maybe. And that is such a delight.
Right, you realize some people say I talk too much, so.
Yes, but you're just right for this show. You're just right. Dr. Barbosa, today we want kind of an update from you as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. A lot of things have happened since last year, and we'd just like for you to encourage the people of Grand Prairie, Texas, that we at the school level and probably at the city level, now we've already had our 2,000 count and everything has come down the pike. We know where we stand from that. I guess you would say from the nuts and bolts. But you know, a lot of different people have moved into Grand Prairie since we had that magic count. And every year you have to restructure and give us an update on what's happening to our city diversity-wise. And we'd like for you to look out into your camera and what's happening at schools, Hispanic and diversity-wise?
Well, Ruthie, I don't think it's any secret to anyone that the diversity in our community continues to expand.
Yeah.
Certainly in terms of our Hispanic population, we continue to grow. In fact, last week I asked for the latest enrollment report, not only in terms of numbers, but also in terms of ethnic backgrounds. And it was interesting to me that last year, our Hispanic population made up about a little over 45% of our student enrollment. Interestingly enough, when I received the report on Friday, we have gone over the 50% mark. We're at about 50.6% of our student enrollment is Hispanic. So given that information, our Hispanic population is the largest ethnic group within our student population. That's followed by our white population, which is about 30%. Our African American population is just a little bit under 15%, and our Asian population is about 5%. So that's how our ethnic backgrounds break down, and as you can see by what I've just shared with you, we continue to diversify. It is clear that this is a community that is made up of people from different backgrounds, from different areas, not only of this country, but of other countries.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're very aware of the language differences with the Hispanics and the current culture. However, I haven't heard anything about the Asian. Do you have to provide assistance for them as well, and who's taking care of that?
Indeed we do. When we have students who come to us who have an Asian background and who are Vietnamese or
Yes.
Cambodian or of some other Asian heritage, we typically would place them in an ESL classroom with an ESL teacher. That's a teacher who is specially trained to be able to work with youngsters who come speaking other languages.
Yes.
They know instructional techniques and methodologies to not only teach those children the subject matter, but more importantly, to bring them into learning English as quickly as possible. And quite honestly, what we have found, Ruthie, is that with our Asian population, and again, I think it's culturally based, there is a very heavy emphasis on education within our Asian families, and those youngsters do not seem to have a great deal of difficulty learning the English language, and and thereby moving into the regular classrooms in pretty rapid fashion.
Is it a stronger parent support then?
I think what we have observed is that you have much more encouragement, much more, I think, support from the Asian parents about the importance of learning English. And I think probably part of that is because even though we do have an Asian community, it's a relatively small community. And when they get out into the larger community, they clearly recognize the need to learn the English language and are motivated to learn it much more quickly.
And with this 50%, 50.6%, are you having any difficulty stealing or purloining or twisting arms of some of these teachers that you need so desperately from other areas or other arenas of the workplace?
There's no question that it is very, very difficult to find bilingual teachers who are certified in terms of teaching bilingually and who themselves are able to speak both English and Spanish. You know, the reality, Ruthie, is that in this area, large metropolitan area that we live in, there are more than 35 school districts, and all of those school districts are experiencing an influx of Spanish-speaking youngsters. So all of us, quite honestly, are competing for a very small pool of candidates who can teach in bilingual classrooms. So the reality is that there will not be enough of those teachers to go around. So as you said, we're competing fiercely for those teachers. We offer stipends above the base salary. We offer bonuses if they sign a contract with us. But of course, we were the first district in the metropolitan area last year to go with a bonus and stipend approach. And what's happened this year is a number of school districts have done the same thing. Mm-hmm. So the competition is very fierce for bilingual teachers.
Are you very comfortable then with your staff as of the beginning of this last school year? Were you all set to go, and were you pretty happy with the things?
We were, as we began the school year in the middle of August, we were about 5 teachers short, and again, the shortage was in the bilingual teacher area.
Okay.
We were able to find all of the regular classroom teachers we needed, elementary, science, math, special education teachers. The one area where we were short was with bilingual teachers, and even today, I suspect we still have somewhere around 3 or 4 positions that we've not been able to fill because we just can't find the individuals to fill it.
Seemingly, all of our areas of Grand Prairie are, I guess, dispersed pretty evenly where the Hispanic population moves into any area of Grand Prairie. Do you find that the PTAs and the schools are answering the call to these Hispanics that move into a new area?
I've been very pleased with the efforts that our principals particularly make in reaching out to our not only Hispanic families but our Asian families, those families that are different than the majority population of this country. They recognize that our Hispanic population is growing. They recognize that if the children are going to be successful, they need to bring the parents into the school setting. They need to make them feel comfortable. They need to reach out to them. For example, when they have PTA meetings, they go an extra mile to invite our Hispanic parents. And in fact, even at the meetings, we have some electronic equipment that allows folks to hear a translator via some earphones, so that our Hispanic parents, even as the PTA president, for example, may be speaking English, we have a translator who is translating so that our Hispanic parents are clear about what is taking place and can understand and get involved.
I know that I attended the Fannin Elementary PTA last year, and they had an interpreter. When the president would get up and make some remarks, then an interpreter would get up in the meeting, and I found that all of the parents were very, very happy to sit and listen to both languages because I believe they both learned something from that dissertation.
Absolutely. And again, we've gone that one step further to get that electronic equipment, so
That's even better.
So it's not quite as confusing when you have 2 people speaking, one English, one Spanish, and I think that works out even better.
you have a United Nations set up in some of your schools. Where are these available so that
they're available at any school in our district. We have we purchased I think 2 or 3 sets of those that we have at the Education Center.
Yes.
And if a principal would like to check those out, they are free to do that. We'll get them delivered to them and they can use it for the meetings that they're having. Some of the schools which have a large Hispanic population and know that those people will be attending those meetings have purchased their own, and they just use them as a matter of routine.
Wonderful.
Any meetings that they have involving parents, they ensure that the equipment is there and the translator is there and that they use that equipment.
That's great. Now, with the school year pretty well on its way, how are you measuring up for campuses? I know that you have a couple of schools that are yet coming online. Crockett isn't ready, Bill Arnold isn't ready. Is Sally Moore ready for occupancy? Tell us about those things while we're into history of Hispanics too.
Well, we opened 2 elementary campuses at the beginning of the school year, and that was Sally Moore, which is located off of Mayfield and Robinson. We also opened up Irvin Whitt Elementary,
Yes.
which is located near the country club,
Yes.
the Grand Prairie Country Club area. Those are the 2 elementary schools that we opened. We also did some extensive renovation with some of our older facilities. Austin Elementary was renovated, and it has it's very nice.
That is a new look.
You need to look at that. It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's a new look on the north side. I passed
Exactly.
that. That is
Exactly.
excellent.
Our architects have done an excellent job in designing that. The same is true of Travis, if you've gone to
Yes.
Travis and seen the new look when we combine Travis and Jefferson. And of course, Lee, we did extensive renovation at the old Crockett facility, which obviously is being used. And of course, because of the fire, we're in the design phase of getting that new building designed, and we hope to begin construction in November so that that facility will be ready next August. In addition to that, Crockett Elementary, which, as you know, there was a delay because the land was located in the city of Dallas and we had to go through some red tape. But I'm pleased to report that we have taken possession of that facility this week, and we will be moving the student body over there. And they will start school on the 9th of October. So,
How wonderful.
You know, those kids have been
Yes.
going over to the old Daniels School because that's where we've been educating them, but we'll make that move in 2 weeks, and everybody's excited about that. In addition to that, Ruthie, as you know, Bill Arnold Middle School is under construction. That should be ready in late spring. And then the Jackson Middle School replacement, which
Yes.
is located on Corn Valley,
Yes.
is under construction. It too will be ready in the spring, and then the 9th grade centers for both of the campuses will also open up next.
And that one's coming along nicely on High School Drive and
Isn't that a
Parent
nice
Road.
looking facility?
That is.
It's going to be very
Well,
nice.
I had a tongue in cheek when I received your last school report. It said, this school has received an occupancy okay from the city of Grand Prairie, and this school has received an occupancy okay from the city of Grand Prairie. And I thought, how long did it take you to get an occupancy okay from the city of Dallas? And Grand Prairie came through like gangbusters, and I was so proud to read that in your school report.
Well, and I have to tell you, Ruthie, that I continue to be pleased with the working relationship that we have with the city of Grand Prairie.
Yes.
Tom Hart and his people are excellent at working with us. They recognize the need to move ahead and move ahead quickly in some cases. And we appreciate very much that relationship and the collaboration that we have with the city.
As a matter of fact, I sat in my chair at home and I just clapped like this for the city of Grand Prairie and the school, because I knew the flow must have gone a lot easier when you were dealing with Grand Prairie than it is long distance from Dallas. And Dallas is our sweet neighbor on the east, but they certainly do things in a different way than we do here in Grand Prairie, Texas.
Well, no question about it. Just going through the bureaucratic red tape of the city of Dallas was an experience for some of our people.
What kind of reports are you getting from the Hispanic families that have concerns? Do you have any concerns for them, or do they seem like they're pretty happy campers with the way things are going in the school? I can't tell from the city. I don't have the, I guess, the barometer to be able to read that in the school, but you have just an absolute wonderful way of realizing that, because the parents will come to schools. They'll come to you when they wouldn't come to the city about something that's not going to suit them.
I've been pleased over the past 2 to 3 years, Ruthie, about how sensitive our principals have become in reaching our Hispanic population. I think they recognize that our Hispanic population will continue to grow, as it will throughout the state of Texas. So we have to recognize that we have to educate those young people, because they're the future. And I think they have reached out tremendously. For example, 2 of our elementary schools last weekend had neighborhood walks where the staff went out into the neighborhood, knocking on doors of their parents, introducing themselves, telling them that they wanted them to work with them, they wanted them to come into the school and feel free to come into the school. We have, the district has hired both parent facilitators who can help our principals when there seem to be some communication problems between the home and the school. They can go out to the home, visit with the parents, make sure that they understand what's taking place and get them involved. We've also hired a translator. We think that's important because some of our schools may not have someone on staff who can translate materials. We have someone who can now do that professionally, and as principals want to send written communication home to the parents, all they have to do is send it in English to the translator. She'll translate to Spanish, and there they have that information that they can send out to the parents. So I think I have to commend the principals for the efforts they have made to include the Hispanic population and make sure that they're involved.
How hard is it for you to find new grounds for hiring new principals that are Hispanic?
Well, again, that's not too much different than the competition for the bilingual teachers. Again, people all over the Metroplex recognize our growing Hispanic population and recognize that if you have a Hispanic person in a leadership position, that's going to be someone who's more sensitive and perhaps is going to understand the culture a little bit better and have more success possibly in working with the Hispanic families. Quite honestly, what we have undertaken in the district is knowing that there's a small pool of people out there in the Metroplex, we've pretty much taken the approach that we have our own training program for our Hispanic employees. If we have some teachers who are Hispanic who have an interest in going into administration, we have an internship program and they can apply to be in that program, and we do some training with them. We also give them an opportunity to work alongside a seasoned principal so that they can learn from that kind of an experience. And so over the past couple of years, I think that program has been very successful, and we're managing, I think, to move some of our own Hispanic staff into those leadership positions.
Are you able in any way through the school system or its resources to provide scholarships for those that may want to continue to work in the position they're in, but further their education in the bilingual arena? Yes,
we have Liz Martin, who is our bilingual program director, has some official ties with some of our universities in the area. I know Texas Women's University, University of Texas in Arlington, University of North Texas. We have ties with them, and they have bilingual programs. In other words, programs where teachers can get certified as bilingual teachers. And we are able to provide those folks who have that interest with some scholarships so that they can move into that area, receive the certification, and thereby assume responsibility over a bilingual classroom.
Are you pleased from what you see in the students, especially in the high school area, of the leadership that is coming forth from the Hispanic young people that are moving up into circles of leadership there, where maybe in the past 10 years ago they were not able to do this, but now that they're taking their place?
Ruthie, I think we're making progress.
That's what I needed for you to say.
I think we have more Hispanic students who are recognizing the value of education, who recognize the possibility of a higher education. But I think we have to continue to put more emphasis on that. I think we still are losing too many students, Hispanic students, who drop out before they graduate from high school. So I work with both of our high school principals and the deans of instruction, and continue to say to them that we need to look at ways in which we can be more successful in making sure that those students stay in school and graduate from high school.
What do you think the magic formula might be?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think certainly, as I said a few minutes ago, we have to get their parents involved when the students are at a very young age. I think if they do that and recognize the value of education as their children are younger, they're going to support, they're going to insist that the children stay in school when they're in middle school and high school. I think the challenge is that a fairly substantial number of our Hispanic families that are moving into our community are recent immigrants, and they come here because they have an opportunity to find work. I think we all recognize that. What we have to do is work with those parents to help them understand that certainly work is important, but that they have to balance the importance of education and be a little bit more future-oriented in working with and talking with their children, that even though the youngster may reach the age of 15, 16, or 17 and is able to go to work, that it's more important for them to stay in school, get their high school diploma, and look at the possibility of a college education. That may not pay off in dollars immediately, but it will certainly pay off in dollars and I think in career satisfaction in the future.
Since many of us are from a work ethnic situation, our parents worked, they wanted us to go to work immediately when we got out of school to help bring in the groceries and pay the bills and do all of this. There's not going to be a magic way to do all of that. That's going to take time, isn't it?
It will take time, and unfortunately, Ruthie, what happens more and more, in my opinion, is that when I was a youngster, for example, I had a paper route, and I had the responsibility of picking up my papers at 5 o'clock in the morning and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and collecting and paying my bill for the newspaper. Other kids had other responsibilities that they were expected to carry out. My sense is that we don't give those, we don't provide sufficient opportunities for kids to develop those kinds of responsible positions.
Yes.
And then when they graduate from high school, we expect them all of a sudden to become responsible adults. So I think there's a real dilemma there, that we want kids to be mature and to act like adults, but we don't give them, in my opinion, the opportunities to do that as they're growing up.
I'd like for you to take this time to brag on your school board, because you have probably the most harmonious working school board that we've had probably in a decade, because they seem to have a sensitivity. They know where we're going, and I'd like for you to brag on them a little bit, and they're responsive to the things that you bring to them about these issues that we've talked about today.
Well, I would be happy to do that, Ruthie, because I can't be prouder of my school board. I think, as you have indicated, they have made it a priority to focus on youngsters, and I think, unfortunately, too many school boards focus on themselves, focus on their future political aspirations, as well as all kinds of other things. But this board is focused on children. They're there because they want to ensure that our children are getting a quality education. I think all of the decisions that they make are with that priority in mind. I think by and large they agree on the direction that we need to go in, and I appreciate the manner in which they work with me. And even when we don't agree, whether it's my not agreeing with them as a superintendent, or even among themselves if they don't agree, that's okay, because not everybody is going to agree on everything. But what I appreciate about them is that they still have respect for each other, and they don't let that disagreement get in the way of a good working relationship as well as a good personal relationship. I think as I observe the board and their interactions with each other, they like each other, they work with each other, they have a good time with each other, and never lose sight of the importance of children and educating children. Secondly,
I think this is kind of a little brag time, but you have a marvelous staff of assistants. You have a personal secretary that's been on board till she knows more about the history of the schools probably than anyone else in the world. You have a wonderful PR department. How proud of you of the way things are running under your direction?
Well, again, I think over the past 3 or 4 years we have been very successful, I think, in bringing people together and making it clear that we're not here to elevate ourselves, we're not here to satisfy our egos, we're here to service children and to make sure that they're getting a quality education. And there is no question that I am blessed with a very good staff. They all are very competent, they have tremendous skills in being visionaries and being planners and in looking at what the needs of the children are. So I am very fortunate to be here in Grand Prairie. I'm very fortunate to be the superintendent, to have a board and a staff that works as well as they do, and it's nice to be along for the ride.
Yes, and we're so proud of all the new schools that are coming on board. You're going to get everything so squared away that maybe next year you can take a week's vacation without even being missed.
Maybe even a month's vacation.
Oh my! And you're looking forward to all of the things that are going to be coming down the pike. Is there anything really outstanding? You have 1 minute left and it's all yours.
Well, it's exciting to be in Grand Prairie. I'm excited about our total community. I'm excited about the leadership that you and other city council members provide along with the mayor. And certainly I marvel at the working relationship that we have with the city council, with the mayor, because everybody is pulling in the same direction. And I think that's the reason why our community has been successful. I think it's the reason why our school district is being more successful. We have a ways to go, but I think we're doing some good things. We need to continue to focus on what our children's needs are.
Mm-hmm. I want to thank you publicly for hosting the legislative breakfasts that are coming down the pike October the 2nd through probably sometime in November, because we're going to get to come to your place and have a light breakfast and meet some of our legislators. All of this is very important to the city of Grand Prairie. You provide many things for many different entities that are under your jurisdiction, and thank you for being so hospitable and so aware of the things that we need here in Grand Prairie, Texas. And I want to thank you for being here today, young man.
My pleasure.
Yes.
I enjoy coming and visiting.
Thank you. Hispanic Heritage is in good hands, and especially this Hispanic Heritage Month that we are celebrating right now.
Very
and
good.
This is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.